Welcome to another edition of the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast with you as always, Jeff Chadiha from the NFL Network, NFL.com, Sam McDowell, columnist for your Kansas City Star. My name is Soren Petro from Sports Radio 810 WHB. Meaningless football, what does it look like? Well, we're going to find out because they're going to play 3 meaningless games. I was trying to look this up. Let me see if I was asking my buddy Curtis, who has a steel trap memory, as to whether or not when was the last game they played that didn't matter. But it looks like it was the last game of 2014. They were eliminated. Going into that final game of 2014. We'll see what the Chiefs can do with it. Is it better for the Chiefs to lose this game? What's the value in having a winning season? Do you think Mahomes plays week 1? The Chiefs injury report grows. What are the players that really need to show something? Who shouldn't play at all? Do we have any expectations for Garner Minshew? Keys to the game, predictions. We're doing it all right here, right now. Red, Gold, and Bold podcast.
You are listening to the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Chiefs on planet Earth, breaking down the Chiefs like no one else can. Red, Gold, and Bold is hosted by Jeff Chadiha, Sam McDowell, and Soren Petro. Jeff Chadiha is a senior columnist and on-air personality for the NFL Network and NFL.com. Sam McDowell is a columnist for the Kansas City Star. Soren Petro is the afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. The Red, Gold, and Bold podcast is proudly brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor, making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, one contractor, all things parking lot. Now, here are the hosts of the Best Chiefs podcast, Jeff Chadiha, Sam McDowell, and Soren Petro.
Thank you very much, Curtis. We do appreciate it. Off and running here on a Friday morning. If you're catching us via the podcast, you can be a part of the conversation. Already got a lot of people in the chat room. We do it Friday mornings at 10 a.m., and the Chiefs are eliminated. Their quarterback is down. What is the value of winning this game? Should they even want to win this game, Jeff?
Well, they should want to win because they're professionals and they've had a long run of success, and there's a lot of pride here. So they're not going to go out there and lay down. The players at least aren't going to see it this way. I'm sure people in the front office might think there's a lot of value to having a lesser record going into the draft, but I certainly expect them to play hard and play well and to win this game. But yeah, I mean, overall, if you're thinking long term, it's way better for them to lose every game moving forward, to have a much better pick. I think if they end up 9-8, you're talking about picking around 17, 18, which could put you into a precarious situation as far as getting the impact player. They need a lot of help. But no, I certainly feel like they're going to play hard and try to do their best because that's how they built this whole thing in the first place. You're not going to change that now.
What do you, Sam? You know, we can talk about the instruments to how you could try to pull off, tanking it. I'm with Jeff. I mean, you can't tank at a player or coach level. The tanking happens at the general manager and ownership level by, I like to call it resource allocation, right? We're going to take it away from now and put it to later. Usually there's not much you can do at this point. But Sam, anything to be had in trying to win this game?
They are so much better off losing these last 3 games than winning. Like I can't figure out the advantage of winning. I mean, yes, Jeff's right. Like, you want your guys to try hard. You want individual players to play well, but there are teams that do get value when they're out of the playoffs of winning games, and one of them is the team the Chiefs is playing. The Chiefs are playing this weekend. Like, you could get some value for the Tennessee Titans of Cam Ward having a good stretch and learning how to win football games. The Carolina Panthers did that a year ago, where Bryce Young won some games late in the season, and I absolutely think that jump-started what they've done this year. The Chiefs aren't in that spot, and they don't even have their quarterback. Like, there's such little value to them winning that to me it's just obvious that if you're a Chiefs fan, I understand if you're mid-game to where you're not rooting against the team that you've been rooting for your entire life, but Best case scenario absolutely is that the Chiefs lose these last 3 games, because this is the most important draft pick they will ever have since Patrick Mahomes in 2017.
Most important, why? Just because it'll be the highest?
Yes. And because, like, when's the next time they're going to draft here? Like,
Right.
if you, let's say you lose these last 3 games and suddenly you're looking at, I don't know where that would put them, potentially as high as like 10 or something. When are any of us going to predict that they're going to pick 10th again?
Yeah.
By the way, this is Brett Veach's trade up. Lose.
Yeah. And part of the problem is that they have to diminish themselves so much to lose to teams like the Titans and the Raiders. The Broncos make sense. That's an easy loss. But the other 2 teams, like, they have to really stink it up and play at a level that's so far below that what they're accustomed to. I just think it's unnatural.
Or just play well for 3 quarters and blow it in the 4th quarter.
Like you've kind of
They've been doing
a lot of this year.
Just use your formula.
Is there a path to doing this naturally? I mean, first of all, the spread is Chiefs -3.5. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is 7 points to the spread. And so now they're saying that this is, a 3.5 point game. Listen, for me, the worst record in the world is 8-9. If they get to 8-9, like, that's awful. And I think that's the most probable outcome, right? Is 8-9, because 9-8, what I think there is in winning this game is, one, getting a win over Denver and putting it in their head that you're not winning this game and then beating Denver, that you're not that far ahead of us, right? Go have your fun, but remember, we're right there. Kind of plant that seed, but to continue having consecutive winning seasons. Their 10-year playoff streak is over, but their 12 years of winning seasons is not over. So, I think there is value if you can win all 3.
What is the value in that?
I think there is I think there is value in the Mike Tomlin has never had a losing record. I will grant you, to quote our buddy Eric Eager, it's a bit of a fake trophy, right? Like, you don't get anything for it. You don't get an extra draft pick, but I mean, I think there is, to the culture of winning, just like you said, no player or coach is going to do it. Like, from an organizational standpoint, to say that we have not had a losing season in, 13 years. I do think that means something. I do think it speaks to the culture of who you are. How much does culture mean? As we sit here, not part of a team, I mean, I'd lean to Jeff. He's played football the longest at the highest level. I didn't mean jack shit when I was in the 8th grade, right? Like, who nobody cared. But I do think it is something that you build to. And to Jeff's point, like, that's the nature of who they are. And I think it continues to put the inspiration, the pressure that when you come here, you play winning football. I think there is. I don't know how to get my arms around it, Jeff. Maybe you can, but I do think there is something to it.
Well, and I think the culture of football is that you work all week and you get to play one game. Baseball is different. Basketball is different. All the other sports have a different schedule. And so if you're not having fun on Sunday, it's a really, really long grind. And so to me, it just from a standpoint of just wanting to enjoy being out there and doing this team hasn't had a lot of fun in a really long time. Even when they beat the Colts, that was sort of like, it took, like, they got a little bit at the end, but for the first 3 quarters, it was a grind. And so I think they haven't had fun since they were beating up on the Commanders and the Raiders. Yeah. And so I think that's part of it as well, just the reward of knowing that you can still go out there and have success. But, to Sam's point, I think about that last pass Garner Minshew threw in the Chargers game. If you let him run wild with his game plan, you might end up with 3 losses. That was pretty. There's your path right there.
I totally agree with what both of you guys have said, as far as there is value in wanting your guys to prepare as if they're going to win, because there are some guys, and we're going to get to a list of guys that need to be improving over these last 3 weeks that are going to help the Chiefs make decisions one way or the other this offseason. But to me, like, if I've got the 16th pick and you've got the 10th pick, and I say, hey, I want to trade up from 16 to 10, and here's what I'll give you. I'll give you the right to say that you've never had a losing season since 2014. I'll give you the right to say that your guys tried hard the last 3 weeks. You're the 10th pick. You're going to say F that. I'm saying a 10.
I agree wholeheartedly. And I think the question is, how do you go about doing it now at this point?
Yeah.
And I think it comes with what we're going to talk about, who you play. right? Like I think that's what it's going to come down to. Like, who do you get in there, and how do you do it? We'll talk about that coming up here in a second. First, we want you to hear from our friends at Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, proudly serving the greater Kansas City area. Nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor. Locally owned and making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Let Gann educate you about the most cost-effective way to solve your parking lot problems. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews. Every project comes with a written warning. Gann Asphalt keeps your parking lot safer and helps you and your business avoid unnecessary delays and costly expenses. Find Gann online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot.
This episode of Red, Gold, and Bold is brought to you by Frontier Justice, where freedom is a lifestyle grounded in safety, responsibility, and respect. With locations in Lee Summit, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas, and Jenks, Oklahoma, Frontier Justice offers firearms retail, a premier indoor shooting range, and training all under one roof. Whether you're new to shooting or a seasoned pro, you'll find expert staff, top-tier gear, and a strong sense of community. Faith, family, freedom. That's what Frontier Justice stands for. Visit frontier-justice.com to learn more.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Patrick Mahomes and his rehab real quick. Does he play in week one, Jeff? I mean, that's the goal. They're talking about 9 months is the rule of thumb on the return. Does he play in week one?
You know, it's hard to say because I feel like people underestimate how much every body is different. Every physical body is different. Every rehab is different. I know he's going to push to make that happen, just knowing him as a person and his legacy here. But I think about Kyler Murray tore his ACL, I think in December 12th, the 2022 season. He didn't play again until week 9 of the following year, whereas Joe Burrow tore his ACL in week 11 of his rookie year, and he was back on the field in week 1. I would probably put the safer bet would be he'll be out there. The question is what percentage of Patrick Mahomes is going to be out there if he does that? Because
sorry, Jeff, I interrupted you. I apologize.
Well, I think we all know that the people who have this injury, it takes a couple of years to be at your best. And if he's coming back just to show, hey, I can't be knocked down by this and I want to show everybody, that's great. But at the end of the day, it's like this guy's had a lot of leg injuries. He's had a high ankle sprain, a toe injury, a dislocated knee, and now an ACL. It's like he's at the point now where being more cautious with him is prudent. And so I wouldn't put him out there just to say he made it back by week 1. I would say do the best you can. And if that happens, then great.
How about you, Sam? Does he play week 1?
Yeah, we don't know. I mean that's the thing. Is like I've seen so many comparisons. You know, there's all the quote unquote Twitter doctors out there. There's these comparisons, and the most like comparison I've seen is Carson Wentz, who tore his ACL and MCL, and same knee. You know, even a guy who wore the same jersey. But there's no apples to apples comparisons with this injury, and so much of what this organization does next is based on when this player plays next, as far as how much can you change your offensive scheme if the guy at the center of it is not part of your offseason? Do you sign a more expensive backup quarterback because you need someone to play for 3 or 4 weeks? How much do you invest in the skill position when you don't have the chemistry developing over the course of the offseason? Like, there's real questions that are all based on when is this guy going to play again? But the uncomfortable reality is you don't know. I mean, the way it was phrased to me by one doctor I spoke to was biology is undefeated. And that is much more applicable to the start of this recovery than it is. There's some things you can do at the end to cut some corners. You can't cut the corners early on. And so I think it's going to be 3-4 months before the Chiefs really know what kind of trajectory he's on. And it's once you get to the running test, the cutting test, to where you really say, okay, how's he handling this? How quickly are we going to be able to progress through the final steps? And we're less than a week out from when this guy had surgery. And so we don't know any of these answers yet. There's optimism, but that optimism is based on past history and that history, I will just say, is much less serious injury and less serious surgery than what he just had on Monday.
Sam, what's the point of not mentioning the LCL initially? And even Andy Reid going to the point of like ACL, that's what we put out there. We always are clear. We're always transparent with you guys. What was the point of that?
I'm not sure. I'll say the point of my asking him that question on Monday was because I specifically knew that doctor specialized in LCL injuries, and I thought that was an indication that there was also LCL damage. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, they don't owe us all of that. I will say I do. It's not often on this podcast we're talking about the Chiefs going above and beyond for certain things. I appreciated them putting Rick Burkholder up there on Wednesday, even if it was just for 3 or 4 questions. You heard me ask about the timeline. I was surprised that he even divulged that, hey, usually it's 9 months and it could be 1 or 2 months more. It could be 1 or 2 months quicker. And I realized that rubbed some people the wrong way. I didn't until I tweeted it out that was going to rub some people the wrong way of, wow, 7 to 11 months. What a guy. And it's like, it's 2 months. It's 2 days after the guy's had surgery. Yes, They don't know exactly what day he's going to be back. But I also appreciate the fact that the Chiefs even sent it out, the fact that, hey, he's had the surgery now. And they've updated us, I think, more than other NFL franchises have in these certain situations. But I think that they knew initially. I know that you asked it, Rick. I mean, I know that they knew initially that there was probably LCL damage as well. And I do wonder if Andy's hesitation with my question on Monday was, if I say LCL, it seems like that's the only 2 things. Is it possible there's other damage that you've got to wait to get into the knee to see? But I don't have a solid concrete answer on that.
I guess my question is, if you're going to say ACL, why aren't you saying ACL and LCL? Well, I get it. You don't necessarily have to. We haven't gone in. We haven't, look, they've done the MRIs and we know that they knew that there was LCL damage. Why even bother to say ACL? Why not just say lower extremity? Right. Or just, I don't understand the point of giving part of the diagnosis, but not all of the diagnosis.
So you think they were hiding something? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think they were hiding anything. I think it is an example that when this kind of stuff goes on, it's, and I don't think the Chiefs do much of it, but it's an example of wasting time on crap that doesn't matter. Well, right. And this is a little thing. Oh, it's a few seconds. But how many other things when it comes to whatever it is? To me, it's just a little control thing. We're not going to give you all of it. And I don't understand the point of that. Like, I always appreciate when Steve Spagnuolo, who I think is the best at this, and Andy will do it too, not as much as Spagnuolo. But when a guy comes out there and goes, yeah, when he came out after the Charger game and said, we were looking run and they threw, like, let's not waste 10 minutes trying to come up with a reason why, no, we got it right. Let's just admit we got it wrong and then let's fix it. And so I just think that when you're not transparent, you're wasting energy, you're wasting time. And if you'll do it there, in how many other places? To me, it's a mark of insecurity. And if you're insecure because you're not confident in what it is you're doing. And so that's why that's just my experience in dealing with people, whatever it is in your line of work. If you go to the guy and your office, you're like, do you have your TPS report done? And he's like, yeah, it's done. And then like, okay, so you go into the next meeting where that TPS report and it's not there. And you're like, you come back to the guy and you're like, well, why didn't you just tell me? I wouldn't have had this meeting. Like, it just, to me, it is a symptom of what can be a problem. Like, yeah. I'm not saying it is. I just find that not being transparent on things that don't matter is generally a sign that people are screwing around with things that they're not recognizing the big picture.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've had 2 ACL tears and gone through the process, so I know I can speak. Sometimes you just don't know exactly what's happening in somebody's knee until you do the MRI or you open them up. My first reaction to it when I heard LCL, and maybe this is too deep in the weeds for this podcast, was usually when you tear your LCL, you got to get hit from the inside of your knee so your knee bows out, because that's a lateral ligament on the outside of your knee. So to damage it, you really have to have damage from the inside pushing your knee out. And that didn't happen. So my first reaction was was this the problem he had before he got hurt, before he hurt his ACL? Was this what was bothering him for weeks? Was that he had damaged his LCL in some way? And they just either were trying to figure out how far you go on it. Maybe that was part of the thinking and the bulging stuff, but it just felt like the way he got hit, that's not normally how you damage your LCL. The ACL, you saw it go, but it was, even look at Micah Parsons, the way his knee bent. When you hurt your ACL, your knee bends inward. And so it's very hard to damage your LCL in that process. So that was my take on it. But I get that, the frustration with why were you not more transparent at the start of this?
Yeah, and I really don't care when they come around. Eventually, they're going to do the surgery, and we're going to get to the timeline. It doesn't affect when he's going to play ball, right? Which is what everybody really cares. I just bring it up as I talk about, like, let's just put it in a folder. Are you screwing around with the things that don't matter? And I think Jeff brings up a pretty good point, Sam. we know he was on the injury report for the knee. You saw him hobbling before that injury. Is that what it is? Like, oh, maybe he was a little too hurt to be out there, and we put him out there anyway. Or he was hurt enough he could play, but people are going to hit us up with, well, your playoff hopes were dwindling at that point. Why did you risk the franchise if he was already banged up? Is that?
Yeah, I think when something like this happens, we constantly try to tie cause and effect to stuff that is not necessarily there. I mean, this guy's played much more injured than what he was playing in that Chargers game, and nobody said boo because it didn't lead to something like this. And so I think you could, like I said, tie a lot of cause and effect if you wanted to, but the fact is stuff like this happens in the NFL. It's happened with a lot of players in the NFL.
Let's talk about the growing injury report. 18 players on the injury report, Jeff, for the Chiefs. Is this just there's a lot of full participations, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 full participations, but they're all on the injury report.
What did you ask earlier? How could you tank? Was that a question you asked earlier?
Yeah.
Is that what we're seeing here?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think so. Look, a lot of guys were laying around the field in that game. It felt like there were 18 players who went down at different points. But the season always feels different when you're out of it, right? When you're losing than when you're winning and you have something to play for. And I'm sure a lot of these guys are going to want to need some rest. Some of the guys who are really banged up, some of the older players. I don't put a ton of stock in it, but it did. Watching that game, it felt as if this team had hit some kind of a wall, not just mentally, but physically. Like I felt like they had played, and we talked about that after the Houston game. Like, did something break in them in that game that wouldn't allow them to be able to do what they had to do to stay in the playoff race? And it felt like in the Chargers game that was the physical part. The toll of trying to win all these games, so much riding on it. I think these guys are just beaten down. So I'm not surprised a lot of guys are on injury report now.
Yeah. I think you don't push through anything, Sam. I think that's one of the ways. Like, if you're fighting to get somewhere and you can play, okay, we're going to play. But if you're not fighting to go anywhere and you could play, but you could also get healthy, you get healthy. Is that what we're going to start seeing? This is how, even though Andy's kind of avoided the play young player thing, this is how he's going to do it. We didn't put a young guy in there. This guy was hurt.
Yeah, I mean, the way he was listing the injury report on Wednesday, just to give people a sense. I mean, that's how the week starts, with Andy Reid coming to the podium. Except for this week, it was Rick Burkholder, and Andy was standing next to the rest of us listening to Rick. But
I wanted to get a shot of him over on that side.
So yeah, I thought it was like I
thought it looked pretty obvious if I turned and went, oh, because it was a surreal moment to see him standing there like, wait a minute. Are you with us now?
It was, because, like, as you guys know, I mean, I stand up because my voice doesn't carry, get as close to as possible. I'm standing, like, kind of right next to Andy Reid.
That's why I went to the shot.
You too? You get, like, Brad G. Does he have anything for Rick too? Yeah, I mean, the way I thought maybe Rick would give us the injury report as well, but then Andy still gave us the injury report, and it was, hey, Leo Chenal, Jalen Moore. And then it kind of starts, Rashee Rice is in the concussion protocol. He came in Monday. Now he's in the concussion. And Tyquan Thornton. And it was just like the list just never, it was the slowest, the way he's ever presented the injury report. It just was never ending. And to me, it just kind of set a tone for the way they're going to handle the last 3 weeks. This is what you said. If you're banged up, why push through it at this point? If you're Trent McDuffie, and Trent McDuffie was out of practice yesterday, and commend him for that totally. The guy is as hard of a worker as the Chiefs have in that building, particularly on the defensive side. But I don't know the point of pushing through something right now if you're one of the guys on the injury report. And look, the concussion stuff is real. I mean, if you're Rashee Rice, if you're Tyquan Thornton in the concussion protocol, like that's a different beast to me when you're someone who's in the concussion protocol. But the other stuff like Trent McDuffie, Jalen Moore, Leo Chenal, Juwan Taylor, like why push through it?
Rashee Rice, they did not practice on Thursday, and all these did not practice except for Derek Nottie, who's ill. But all of them did not practice on Wednesday as well, except for Nottie. He practiced on Wednesday, and then I was listed as ill. Rashee Rice, Tyquan Thornton, Jalen Moore, Juwan Taylor, Derek Nottie, Leo Chenal. They all did not practices, and the limiteds, Chris Jones and Trent McDuffie. So yeah, I mean, I think this is how you make your way to getting the young guys on the field. I mean, this is the path to doing it. So yeah, we'll talk about who else isn't going to play, who else shouldn't play. I will do it after you hear from our friends at Frontier Justice.
This episode of Red, Gold, and Bold is brought to you by Frontier Justice, where freedom is a lifestyle grounded in safety, responsibility, and respect. With locations in Lee Summit, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas, and Jenks, Oklahoma, Frontier Justice offers firearms retail, a premier indoor shooting range, and training all under one roof. Whether you're new to shooting or a seasoned pro, you'll find expert staff, top-tier gear, and a strong sense of community. Faith, family, freedom. That's what Frontier Justice stands for. Visit frontier-justice.com to learn more.
Gann Asphalt and Concrete, proudly serving the greater Kansas City area. Nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor. Locally owned and making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Let Gann educate you about the most cost-effective way to solve your parking lot problems. With free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty, Gann Asphalt keeps your parking lot safer and helps you and your business avoid unnecessary delays and costly expenses. Find Gann online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. All right, let's talk about who needs to play more. Jeff, who are some of the players you think need to play more this week?
Well, I'd love to see Jalen Royals out there. Because I haven't seen him all year long. I'd love to see Jeffrey. But a lot of these guys in the rookie class, you'd love to see them find opportunities for them to be out there. Guys like Jaden Hicks. Obviously, some of these linemen who are going to play because they're out of bodies. But anybody who's been in this mode of either they're a redshirt year or they're in this mystifying place where they just play for a little bit and then they get pulled back out. Now, Tyquan Thornton would be in that category if he wasn't banged up. But I think those are the main names I see, like guys that are supposed to be part of this team's future. Let's start seeing what they can do now.
Sam, you got a list?
Yeah, I mean, pretty similar to Jeff. I mean, if Tyquan Thornton was healthy, he'd be number one for me. And it's because, look, it's Tyquan Thornton. There's still 2 games left after this one, right? So I'm still going to put him on this list. He's the second most targeted receiver in the NFL downfield still, and he's not playing nearly as much. I think it's an opportunity to find out, can he be a more diverse wide receiver than just a deep threat guy? Jaden Hicks is front and center for me of the guys who are available this weekend. I mean, this was supposed to be a breakout year for Jaden Hicks, and only once in the last 6 weeks has he played more than 15 snaps. And that game was against Dallas, where they lost 2 safeties in the game. And Spags said last week that he's had flashes of good football, but he's made some mistakes that he wouldn't expect a second-year player to make. And to me, that's clear. As clear as Steve Spagnuolo will get with criticism of a player, he's basically saying, I can't trust this guy's going to be in the right spot. He's going to recognize where he needs to be. And there's some snaps when you watch where it's pre-snap where it's clear, where guys are moving him. And so this is an opportunity for Jaden Hicks to prove that he's somebody you can depend on. And Brian Cook's an impending free agent. So, do you need to get a safety next year? And then I think the other guys are, Royals, Bossa, Jeff mentioned. And there's one other wild card I'll throw in there, which is Kevin Knowles has been incredible on special teams. Can he be a cornerback for you? Can he be a backup cornerback for you? Josh Williams is a free agent. Can Kevin Knowles fill that role where he's a special teamer who can play cornerback in a pinch? Can he play defense? I'd play Kevin Knowles at cornerback these next 3 games to find out.
I will give you a couple of things that haven't been said. I agree with everything. There's nothing in there that I disagree with. I'll add this in. If Trey Smith isn't going to play, Hunter Norzad should, right? Enough with Caliendo, because you're going to move on from Caliendo. So let's go. Do you have something in Hunter Norzad? Play him at right guard. Ashton Gelati should play every snap that he can possibly play. Enough with Mike Dana, enough with Charles Omenihu. Get Ashton Gelati in there, whatever visions you have of him, if it's sliding him in, if it's dropping him, play him every possible way. Steve Spagnuolo said, there's some he's got some diversity to him in the things that he can do. He's got some change of direction. Okay, whatever. Go mad scientist on him. Find out exactly what you have in Ashton Gelati, because you're going to need to reshuffle the deck on the defensive line. I'll also say, I think with Jalen Watson, if you are of the opinion, which I am, that you're going to trade Trent McDuffie for whatever you can get, Jalen Watson is a cheaper option. Can he travel with somebody? There isn't really anybody to test him on the Titans, but over the last 3 games, Let's try him one-on-one. Let's try him. See him as a number one corner. Is he going to be an NFL number one corner? No. But we've seen this defense play well without Trent McDuffie the last 2 weeks. They're definitely better with him. But if you're giving some thought to signing one of these two guys and you want to go the cheaper option and go with Jalen Watson, he doesn't warrant giving the franchise tag to. So it's only sign him or let him walk and be a part of your free agent equation down the road. But if you've got some inkling of keeping him, then play him wherever you think, he might be able to be used. And then obviously, the Noel Williams group. I'd also like to see Jared Wiley. It's really the last two draft classes that you're looking for as much as Hicks.
We haven't mentioned Brashard Smith. I mean, give him some touches. Yeah, make him part of your return game more frequently. Try and design it to where he's returning every kick.
And that was what I was hearing was the reason he got drafted was for the return game.
They said it publicly on draft night.
Yes, and so now he's where are we on that front? So I'm 100%. I mean, I think there is definitely a lot of players that can play, and you get them all the snaps that they can handle, and then you figure out filling in the rest around it. I think that begs the question then, though, who shouldn't play at all? And I will tell you, Trent McDuffie should not play because in my book, I'm trading him, and he's not going to make it onto the field. I'm not going to run the risk of tearing an ACL, of getting him hurt, and not have a trade asset. Trent McDuffie, my doctors will not clear him under any circumstances. And I will make sure that he is healthy going out the door. Unless somebody says, well, if he doesn't play, people are going to question whether he's healthy. Okay, he can play the last game. But that's the first guy, Jeff, that's not going to go for me.
Yeah, I would put, obviously, the injured lineman, Trey Smith, doesn't need to be out there anymore. Jalen Moore doesn't be out. I mean, Jawan Taylor doesn't need to be out there anymore. I would say Kareem, but he's fine. You can put him out there. There aren't a lot of guys who I think I'm looking at it more from a standpoint who doesn't have to prove anything, and so those are the guys who I think stand out to me. Defensively, it's just a mishmash of guys. I'd stick with the linemen. The guys who are hurt, who have value, shouldn't be out there.
Chris Jones. It's on the report of the hamstring. He was laying on the medical table. Okay.
Doesn't need to be out there.
Sam?
I think the guys who I would, first of all, they don't have enough healthy guys to say we're sitting everybody.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Yeah.
And so I think it's playing guys less frequently. And to me, the answers are just the guys who give way for the opportunities to play the guys that we just listed. I mean, so if you want to play Jalen Royals more, you're going to play Juju Smith-Schuster less. You're going to play Hollywood Brown less. Those guys are impending free agents who are less likely to be part of next year's future than Jalen Royals is. And so you play Mike Edwards less. You give Isaiah Pacheco fewer carries because you give Charles Omenihu fewer snaps because you're trying to play Ashton Gelati. So to me, it's not as much about those guys as it is I want to see these guys more instead. And so therefore these guys are going to have to play less.
Yeah, that makes sense. I do think Chris Jones is going to be an interesting one on what they do with him. So, because he was up on the table and, finished the game. A lot of guys went out and came back in, whatever that's worth. What are the expectations for Garner Minshew, Jeff?
Based on that limited experience, I mean, I still don't understand what he was thinking on that throw to Kelsey. I think the hope is that he runs the offense, that he doesn't have to be Patrick Mahomes out there, that he's able to, create plays, that maybe we see a different version of guys like Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy. I think so much of what they do with them is built around Patrick's ability to improvise. Maybe he's more on time with it and trying to make more things happen. You shaking your head, Sam?
Yeah, I don't know. I find him to be in that same sort of improvise mode a lot of the time.
Yeah, but he's not as good at it.
No.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Maybe he'll try to do that to be successful. But I think that's about it. I think if they should win the game, it'll probably be ugly. But I think if he can be competent, that would be a positive.
If you take out his Raider season, which we know the Raiders are a hot mess, he has 59 touchdowns and 25 interceptions. Even with it, he has 68 and 35. So he's almost 2-1. Right, but he has played competent football, Sam.
Yes.
No, and I'm not suggesting you haven't with your. I agree with your assessment. By the way, he is Mr. Improvise. He is a swashbuckler back there. Just look at the hair. I mean, I think the hair tells you how he right? Like, Trevor Lawrence and
You think
Dustin,
that's in the scouting report?
All the hair, huh? Yeah.
Gardner, he's like, yeah, we came to party, right? That's when he lines up how it's going to be. But I do think there are expectations. This is not you're bringing some undrafted, player out there. This guy's played competent NFL football before.
Yeah, there's one interesting thing to me when I look at his past that is really distinct from Patrick Mahomes in terms of the throws he wants to make. We know there's a huge difference in the throws he can make, but the throws he wants to make, he throws into a lot of tight windows. And that's something I've been talking for years, that Patrick Mahomes has been on the lower part of the league, lower three guys of the league in terms of his willingness to throw in tight windows. I think we're going to find more whether or not that's a system thing or whether it's a quarterback thing, because that's what, by the way, the Travis Kelce interception's a tight window. It's a terrible tight window, but that's a tight window throw. Is he a guy who's going to give some of these receivers some chances to try and make more plays? Is he going to give Jalen Royals the ball when Jalen Royals' biggest issue is his separation? And I think Jalen Royals has some talent that they could tap into next year, obviously more than they've tapped into since they haven't tapped into it at all this year. But some of these receivers, I think, that they haven't beaten man-to-man as much, are you willing to throw the ball back shoulder more than what we've seen this offense do the last 5 years? So that's what I'm most interested to see from this quarterback. But as far as expectations, pain, I think, is a top expectation. I don't think this is going to be an enjoyable watch. So I'll leave it at that.
Pain. What is it? What are you, Clubber Lang? And
that was the reference.
Garner Minshew behind a makeshift offensive line. What could go wrong?
What are you expecting? Pain. Oh man, that's rough. Do you think he's got a shot at being the quarterback next year? Is he playing for that?
I think so. Yeah, why not? He's here. They obviously saw value in him as a backup. It goes back to the initial question about how long do you think Mahomes is going to be gone, and what do you want the guy behind him to be? I think all these guys they brought in have been kind of similar in their own, have had value in their own way, but he's the last guy here. So I think he's got a great chance to actually showcase himself. I can't think around, as I look around the league and think about other options, who else would make sense right now? It has to be a veteran type guy, but is there anybody who really jumps to mind right now? He's here.
I think if they could have gotten their cap in order, the guy that to me has been the one that would have been the perfect quarterback to get was Jacoby Brissett. I think he signed 2 for $10, $5 million per with the Cardinals, because what I loved about Jacoby Brissett was when he ran the quarterback sneak for Andrew Luck in the Colts, wearing a Colts uniform. It was like, he's a big, strong kid. And I was like, okay, here's your quarterback sneak guy. And then he's also a competent NFL passer. That's the guy I would love. But he's signed up for another year with the Cardinals. So they signed him to a 2-year deal. And hell, it's probably the starting quarterback for the Cardinals next year, the way it's going with Kyler Murray.
What about Drew Lock? Did you bring Drew Lock in here?
I would. I'd be interested. Listen, I think Drew Lock just follows the line of guys you're talking about. Yeah. I think they've wanted, before they wanted older guys that theoretically could give experience to Patrick Mahomes. And I think, isn't Garner Minshew the first guy younger than Pat to be the number 2?
He's younger than Patrick Mahomes?
I think so.
Wow.
I think so. Gardner Minshew is 29.
His first game was against Mahomes, and when Nick Foles got hurt in Jacksonville in the 2019 opener.
Wow, I thought he's been around forever.
Yeah, he's 29. So I think Andy's clearly one of guys who made some starts that aren't going to wet themselves the first time they got to start a game, and so we're not far, and I think this knee injury may hasten them looking for a guy that, and they're not going to do it in the first, but in third round. We had this guy graded as a top of the second. He's still there in the third. Let's bring him in. We're not far from them starting to draft those kind of guys. Got to be careful when you're asking Patrick Mahomes to renegotiate his deal. You don't want to piss him off with.
Yeah.
By the way, we got your replacement right here.
Well, it goes into what I said earlier. A lot of these decisions they're going to be making, and they're going to be in the dark on how much do they need this guy. In the first 4 weeks of the season, the first week of the season, they're going to have to make those. I see some people throwing out, like Marcus Mariota. That's what I'm talking. He's as expensive as a backup gets. Yes, Marcus Mariota would be a great backup to have. He's really expensive compared to the way they've invested in that position. And they're going to have to make a decision whether or not they need to invest in that position before they really know the answer to that.
Mariota's been my other guy that I think would be perfect because I think you could run him.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it would be a good fit. All right, keys to the game, Jeff. What are the keys? This is a unique angle. We've never on this podcast.
We're going keys to win.
Exactly.
No.
My key to the game is
We're
to keep the
keys
Sean
to the game.
Combs documentary close, in hand, other things to watch. That gets deeper into this. Yeah.
Our first
I really did not think we'd get a P. Diddy reference at all during this podcast.
That's right. It's way more entertaining than what we're going to see on Sunday.
First ever keys to the game for a game that does not matter.
Oh, I would
They've
say
played games that haven't mattered, by the way, but not for this reason.
Not for this reason.
Last year's season finale. Like they've played some games that haven't mattered, but just not for this reason.
First keys to the game for a game that for a team going nowhere.
Oh, I would say first key is obviously Garner Minshew has to play well. I think that they actually have to do some things they haven't been able to do, which is run the football effectively, make some key plays in the passing game, not drop the football. The Titans are horrible. I mean, they're such a bad. If you haven't watched them at all this year, it's going to be a treat because they are really, really bad. So I think if they're just competent, if they go out there and they play 50% of what you're accustomed to seeing, they should win the game.
Okay, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, I really think the key is to sit guys because I don't think you want to win this game. But if you're trying to win the game, Cam Ward is as bad as it gets against pressure this year.
Yeah.
I mean, against the blitz this year, he's completed fewer than half of his passes. Against pressure, you look at the PFF grades and it's ugly. Like his grade against pressure this year is like 31. I mean, he's terrible against it. And last week he had one of his best games against the 49ers. Well, guess what? The 49ers are dead last in the NFL in sacks. They don't get pressure. So like if you actually, if you're looking for a reason you want the Chiefs to win the game, like you've got to pressure them. And it hasn't been hard to pressure Cam Ward this year either. He takes a lot of sacks when he's pressured.
I'm going to say the key to the game is Gardner Minshew playing well, because I think what you want to do is see young players. If you want to see if Wiley is any good, if you want to see if Royals is any good, you need the quarterback to play well, right? And so
that's a good point. You weren't able to grade anyone last year because Carson Wentz was so bad in that game. It prevented you from really having accurate grades on everybody else. I think that's a great point.
Yeah, I think you want him to play well so you can grade the guys around him, and that means the offensive line has to play well. So I mean, I think you do not want to. Well, I don't want to win if I'm Brett Veach and Clark Hunt. And hopefully Andy Reid. But I do want to be able to see what we've got. And to do that, you need the quarterback to play. So I would like to see him, play well enough that we can evaluate some of the guys around him.
Yeah, good point.
How about the predictions, Jeff? What do you got?
I got some fury. I got a double-digit win by the Chiefs. I'm going to steal your thunder. And
for the first time all year, the Chiefs by double digits.
That's right. This is my fury coming out. I'll take them 21-10 in this game.
21-10. All right, Sam.
I'm nervous now because there's no one. I know the three of us that Jeff has watched more of the Titans than I have. Their numbers are just terrible, and all of their metrics are bad. I will say Jeffrey Simmons can be a problem. He was a problem last week against the 49ers. So I'm going to pick a lower scoring game. I've got the Chiefs 13-10.
I got to be honest with you. I don't even remember what I picked in my program picks. I can reach back here and find it. Trying to remember where my logic was. I know Curtis was on the Titans. And, God, I think I was too.
Todd, to give you as you think, Todd Lebo yesterday was for your pregame show on 8:10 on Sunday was trying to get all of our predictions. And usually on Thursday, I'd be like, sure. And I go, I haven't even thought about the actual football game. I don't know. They're actually playing a game on Sunday. And so it's like this morning where I was like, I better think about the prediction here, I guess.
I'm going to go KC 16-13. I go 16-13. That gives me that. If I had the Titans covering, I haven't betrayed my Thursday pick because I kind of think I did have the Titans. Plus, I think I said Titans, the hook. So we're coming out of the hook, so that's perfect. KC 16-13. 13. That's what I'm going with. I'll stick with it. Remember, you can support the Red, Gold, and Bold by supporting our great sponsors. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews. Every project comes with a written warranty if you manage or own a business. You have any kind of parking lot problems, more than 30 years. Gann has been solving those problems. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com. One contractor, all things parking lot. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. And our friends at Frontier Justice. 3 locations in Lee Summit, KCK, and Jenks, Oklahoma. Whether you're new to shooting or a seasoned pro, you'll find expert staff, top gear, and a strong sense of community. It's at Frontier Justice. Find them online at frontier-justice.com. For Sam McDowell from the Kansas City Star, Jeff Chadiha from the NFL Network, I'm Soren Petro saying thank you very much for joining us here on the Red Gold.